Right, my lovelies, update time, because it's been a little while, and I just saw the new Superman film. Well, Man of Steel, I have to say. And, yeah, people are not going to like this, because while the critics and everyone else has been saying it was good, I think I watched a different movie. Yeah, Superman was a bit of an epic fail. I mean, I was a bit reluctant to see it, because I'm a Marvel girl, not a DC girl. Apart from Batman, because Batman's cool. My problem with Superman is Superman himself. I find him boring and too patriotic and too clean cut, and he's just black and white and all good values, and like Batman himself said, he's a Boy Scout. I think his cape is pretentious and silly, and I think he's too super. Like, you know, he's Superman, he can do everything. Well, what's that? He's got no frailties, no weaknesses apart from kryptonite, which is such a random weakness that just, it's like you need a human or emotional weakness. So I was already a bit like, I don't like Superman. I find him boring. But you know what? People said the film was good. And it was like, it does for the, like, you know, Superman, what the Dark Knight did for Batman. And I was like, okay. And I've got to give the film its dues. It was a good Superman film. I mean, you take one of the most boring superheroes ever and make a movie that's got some entertaining stuff in it, and you make Superman likeable, that's actually a very good achievement. As for what kind of comic book film it was, well, compared to things like the Avengers and like Iron Man and Batman, it wasn't the greatest comic book film ever. And as a movie, well, I was getting more and more irate with the film the longer it went on. By the end of it, I was like, oh my goodness, just no. There were so many little things. I don't even know where to start. I mean, technically, what was with the weird editing? Like jump cuts, like they'll be having a conversation going, oh my goodness, what are we going to do? Blah, blah, blah. Quick, we're in the desert. But just, how did you ever into here? It's like, just like, and then there's like, I'm going to fly away, stack back, phew! It's like, some build up, some tension, some like horrible jump cuts. It's like, I'm here, I'm there. Oh, it's the flashback, now it's the future. Oh, it's like, so much didn't make sense. Like, how did Superman just kept being places that he needed to be at the beginning of the film? It's like, I'm on this thing, ready to save some people. How did he get to the fudging Antarctica, North Pole stuff? Just like, oh, I've just happened to somehow smuggle into a military dig with scientists to find an ancient submarine that is like 5,000-year-old relic of my civilization. Right place, right time, coincidence, little too much, methinks. It was like, that's just sloppy writing. So I was already annoyed with the, like, well, that makes no sense. How did you get there in the first place? Like, what the hell? I know everyone says the new Superman is very attractive, and yes, he's an attractive man. I'll give him that. But you know who was really hot in that movie? The evil Kryptonian woman. She was hot. Now, and you know who else was really attractive in that movie? Russell Crowe. Like, everyone keeps Superman. I'll have Superman's dad. Like, he was a much more attractive and interesting character. I mean, he was hardcore science dad. To me, that's a far more interesting thing. Then, as the movie continued, so there was sloppy writing, bad editing. It's an origin story. We saw it about 5 seconds. I would have been really interested in how he dealt with his powers as a youngster. But no, we just kind of glossed over that, and now he's super, yay! And then, I just kept throwing randomness. I didn't like the casting. For a start, I was like, I thought the guy who played Zod had no charisma, no, like, facial expressions. He was cooker-cutty bad guy. He did not have any charisma. He didn't have any, like, evilness. And they shot at themselves in the foot with him being the villain. He's like, oh my goodness, he's mad, he's crazy, he's evil. And then he did that speech where it's like, well, that's what he was created to be. He was genetically designed to think of nothing but Kryptonian and go do that path. If you're genetically designed and predestined for a role, you can't really get pissed off with a dude for fulfilling that role. It's like, well, now more plot flaws, a bad editing, a villain cast wrongly, plot holes, Superman being boring. And what else was going on? There was so much, I was getting more irate with it. By the end of the film, I just kept thinking, well, if the Avengers were there, they would have solved this already. And yes, it's Superman, it's just one guy, and the Avengers is a team. But then, don't make your first film so fudging epic. Superman versus 10 other Supermans, the end of the world destroying machine, it's the apocalypse, alien invasion. That's your origin movie? Like, I'm a great believer that if Superman and Thor had a fight, they're on pretty even footing. Like, and also Thor wears a cape better. Like, and there's a reason that Thor wears a cape. He's from a society that's moulded around, like, mythology, and in their society, the Norse part of their military uniform, same like the Spartans were capes. Superman just has a cape because he's pretentious and likes to be, and no wonder bad guys can grab him by the cape and swing around the place. He's at least the Zord had the decency to rip off his cape and everything to have a fight, so Superman couldn't go, yank, I've got your cape, smushy, smushy, smushy. Like, it's just silly. But yeah, so Superman's already got his 10,000 bad guys, and it's just so over the top. Like Thor, I'm a demigod. My entire movie is in this small town versus some circumstances. Like, we all know that Superman is the precursor for the Justice League film. But the problem is Avengers was 10 years in the making. The seeds of it, 10 years. Little, small origin films versus terrorists, versus the military, versus homegrown villains. Little pockets of things. Then, when the Avengers happened, still, it was little disasters in society. And then at the end of the movie, an alien invasion was let in. You don't start your franchise with giant end-of-the-world alien invasion, super-powered villains. What are you going to do in the next Superman film? How do you get bigger than I will destroy the entire planet? You've just defended the world from 10 people who have the same power as you in the end of the world machine. Too epic. And I know it's a stupid thing to say, but it is. It's just like you've shot your own franchise in the foot. You've given us a villain that's got a reason why he's that way, therefore shouldn't be so annoyed with him. You've given me a hero that's a bit bland, although he's the most interesting Superman there has been. He still was a bit bland. And then you've just modelled a load of plot together that had terrible jump cuts and I've caught you a few times from falling off buildings, therefore I must kiss you because we've got so much romantic tension. There was more tension between the general, who was Chris Keller from Oz, and the evil woman that was all like, it's a good day to die. Although I think that's actually a Klingon saying. I'm getting my fandoms confused. I only saw the film this evening and it's I'm already kind of going, ah! I'm getting my fandoms. I'm just so irate by this movie. The editing was off, some of the characters were really poorly cast, the story kind of got really confused, it's doing nothing for its plans in the long run, it's an awful origin movie, it's not, you need something, it's because they want to try and top that. The battles were good, but by the time they got to the final battles and it got so epic, I just kept thinking, who could defeat that guy faster than you are? Thor. And you know what? You'd have sites Rose kind of going, well, here's some sciencey stuff, we've worked out how your alien technology works, how I'll use it against you. It was just, I'm trying to think of what other things apart from, Superman, so epic, it became an epic fail. That's kind of pretty much what I thought of it. It's done nothing for its own fandom. It's not done anything for setting up for the Justice League. It's not really done much for stupid things. At the end of the film, he becomes Superman and he goes to join the Daily Planet, but Lois Lane already knows who he is, so there's going to be no tension there because I didn't know. And also, why is Superman is America going to accept me? You're Superman, there's a whole world of problems. Who could really do with some help? Some people in the Middle East. There's probably a small boy that's fallen off an elephant in Thailand drowning, but you know what? So I'm Superman, I only protect America. I was no, if I was Superman I could hear things, I would fly around different places. I'd watch the news. And I'd go, right, quick to the Middle East, get rid of all their guns. Quick to Asia, let's rescue some people. Oh no, buildings are burning down in, Africa. I'd go to Africa and fly underground, smush, 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 and release the water that's trapped under there and build wells and, use my eyes to molten roads for infrastructure. And then the other thing about the Superman film, a giant thing lands in the Indian Ocean, starts destroying the world, and another one in America. How come America are the only people dealing with it? Does the rest of the world not realise this is going on? Does no one want to kind of butt in and go, hey, this is Japan here, I see a giant thing is destroying half the planet, would you like some nuclear weapons? No, at least Marvelverse has the decency to have S.H.I.E.L.D., this organisation that has been set up for the last God knows how many years, because my fangirl knowledge is a bit iffy on that, that is looking out particularly for superpowered people and threats and monitoring it, that has an even shadowy, overlooking circle of people that kind of encompasses the entire world so that they can track everything that's going on everywhere, so that there's missions going on all over the world. Marvel is so much more, it's got a historical context, it's got so much more background. It's got, if something starts destroying somewhere, the rest of the world is kind of going, oh shit, what's going on over there? You know, like, it's just annoying. Just annoying. So yeah, I couldn't really enjoy the film because I got so stressed watching it and just kept thinking The Avengers was way better. And The Avengers was the culmination of 10 years, like 6 other films and background work and tiny little origins. And even The Avengers, the origin movie, was not as epic as the one Superman film. Yeah, they faced the end of the world, but it was one alien threat by one god that also led way to something even bigger that we all know is coming. We're like, aha, something even bigger is coming. And we know about this. Yeah, Superman film. Frustrating. Epic fail. Yeah, it's one of those movies that just make me angry. And I'm now hoping that I can wash it out of my brain with upcoming features such as Pacific Rim and The Wolverine. Because I need to, see something at the cinema that doesn't make me so angry. Alright, this is me signing out from my little Superman rant. Obviously, you can follow me at Lone Dreamer Yowie on Twitter, the LZSY Facebook group, Pinterest, Tumblr, YouTube channel, you name it. I've got a bit of everything going on now. And yeah, for those of you who've watched Superman, I'm sorry. For those of you who haven't, really think about it before you make that decision. Bye-byes.